I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the town of Grand Bay-Westfield for Monday, February 12th, 2024 to order at 7 o'clock p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that Grand Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Wolastoqey land. The lands of Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Wolastoq, along which live Wolastoqey, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders past and present and descendants of this land. Good evening, everyone. February is Black History Month. In Grand Bay-Westfield, we have some incredibly interesting Black history. To learn more about the history in our area, how our Black settlers helped build who we are today, visit our website at www.grandbaywestfield.ca or visit www.grandbaywestfieldheritage.com. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our committed community members who attended the Crane Mountain Landfill Expansion public information session last month. Over 125 concerned community members attended, made their concerns known, and put on the record. The town does not believe that the expansion is warranted for a number of different reasons, particularly when other methods of extending the life of the landfill have not been duly explored, such as increasing commitments to diversion. We will continue to advocate and advocate strongly on this issue. Volunteers are incredibly important to the vitality and growth of our town. Our Planning Advisory Committee volunteers provide a critical service, and I would like to extend thanks and congratulations to Chair Jim Burke and Vice Chair Teresa Gordon, who have been elected to their positions for the year 2024. February is also Winterfest, and we have lots of great things going on in the town. This coming weekend, we are having our 3rd annual Family Day celebration, which will be held at the Westfield Golf and Country Club. And make sure to join us for an afternoon filled with activities, food, music, and most importantly, time with your family. And thanks to the Community Vitality Committee and the volunteers for putting together such a great event for us. And also mark your calendars for 2 other great events coming up. On Saturday, February 24th, we have the much anticipated rematch of our Grand Bay-Westfield Fire and Rescue against the Wellsford Fire Department in a hockey game, and this time we plan on taking home the trophy. So be sure to come out to the Wellsford Community Rink to cheer on our team. Later on that same day, we have the Winterfest celebration at the Four Corners, organized by the volunteers of the Westfield and District Recreation Association, and also the official opening of our Narrapis Community Rink. It's sure to be a good time, so come on out and enjoy. Now we'll move on to item 4, record of attendance. Let the record show that we have everyone in attendance today. Thank you very much, Council. Item 5, agenda approval. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of February 12th, 2024 as presented. Thank you, Councillor Bailman. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 6, disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any? There being none, we'll move on to item 7, public hearings, petitions, delegations, petitions, and we have with us here Acting Sergeant Julie Rogers-Marsh to present the RCMP quarterly report. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Any questions for me? Let's start with questions.
Councillor McIntosh-Lawrence?
I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Under property crimes and like under theft, it looks like there's been a lot more incidences this year than last year. Just wondering if there's like, if there was a single incident or a single group of people, and also, oh, page 5, sorry. And traffic enforcement, it looked like last year there was 1 incident while impaired, and this year 12 so far. I'm just wondering if like maybe the traffic patrol is greater this year. Or?
So I'll touch on the property crime. So I know we did have sort of that rash a little while ago where we arrested 2 individuals. So I feel like that probably pushed it up a bit. The other thing is we've seen an increase in thefts of copper. So that potentially could have maybe put the increase compared to last year. And that is not a Bay-Westfield only sort of issue, that's a national issue, right? So we're working with our partners with regards to that, and I can keep you guys up to date, and always encourage if people have information, they're asked to call and report any suspicious activity, and they can also call Crime Stoppers if they have information that they prefer to stay anonymous with. And the traffic enforcement, so I'll touch on that as well. So tickets have gone up, obviously if you can compare it through the last 2 quarters. My team has really stepped up the proactive work and has been out patrolling different areas, conducting, different enforcement, whether it's being on the highway and doing radar, whether it's doing seatbelts, checking sobriety. So the more that we're out there, obviously the more we're able to pull people over. We know who's in our community, that's always good. So I feel like, the impaireds as well kind of follow with that when we're doing check stops and we're pulling more people over. We're reading more ASD demands, impaired demands, and so it's not necessarily that there's more, we're out there a lot more right now. So my team's been doing a really good job with that.
Councillor Bellman?
To Mrs. Lawrence's reference to crime, we don't have a lot of crime here, so that's why 2 people do crime or 1 person does crime, that doubles, because we don't really have a lot of crime here. We're a pretty safe community, so.
100%. I agree with you, yes.
Any other questions from council?
Just a comment, Your Worship. The presence of your patrol staff by the Westfield Elementary School is very much appreciated. I see it regularly, and council has had some inquiries and some calls as well, which help prompt that information to yourself. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I will definitely share that with my team. And I have actually personally pulled cars over in front of that school. And the kids were yelling the other day, so it was quite exciting. Maybe not for the person I pulled over, but definitely the kids were excited.
Thank you. Councillor Bellman?
So where's your primary location for you, like for what schools? Is it the Westfield School or is the school up on Woolstock?
So we try to patrol all the schools, so Grand Bay Primary, we try to do that one in the morning as well as Westfield. I feel like the issue with the Westfield school was not necessarily first thing in the morning, it was during the day when the kids were actually in school. So we've kind of stepped up more during the daytime, but we try to do the school patrols first thing in the morning. Obviously the kids are walking, we want to be visible and making sure that everybody's safe. So Westfield and Grand Bay Primary are really the two, because Inglewood, I mean, they're kind of up. So, but we're still on that, we're still on Woolstock.
As a person myself, I was a child at school. I think I'd have yards to sit up by the primary school than the Westfield school because they're fenced in and the buses pull off to get picked up, and Woolstock is one you get picked up by the school. So I think more emphasis should be up on the Woolstock road itself than the Westfield school.
Yeah, and my kid goes to that school too, so. But we do patrol. I feel like we're more in front of Westfield because we tend to go that way when we're going to the detachment. So I find we're automatically sort of on that road more. But I definitely, that's a good point. I'll bring that forward.
Sergeant, I have a couple of questions, if that's okay. I noticed in the report, can you talk about the increases in the other violations involving violence and threats, and also the ones with the Mental Health Act? I noticed that there was a significant uptick in those. So for the violence one, I'd have to probably do a bit of I'd have to go back and check to see if it's maybe the same sort of people that we're dealing with. Like I'd have to, but I certainly can do that and get back to you with that. Yeah, we always wonder, is it the same person each time, or is it, a pattern across the town of multiple unrelated incidents? So it sort of gives us an idea of what's going on in the community when we know those things as well. Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, and Councillor Balcom got some of my other questions, so that's great. But I was surprised that there was only one occurrence for drug crimes, because we hear so much in the news that, you know, drug crimes are, you know, a driving force in terms of what's going on in crime right now, but
So for us, we're partnered with the community, right? So if people have information, we need that from the public. So again, encouraging people, if they have information, to come forward. If they want to stay anonymous, there's opportunities there. I mean, obviously I can't get into detail on operations and tactics, but you know, we're aware of some of the stuff that's going on. Obviously we need to be, and you know, our focus is there. Sometimes some of those investigations just take some time. I know when I was here the last time, the drug offenses was 0, and on here it's 2. So
yeah.
we did have some seizures.
But it would indicate to me that that's a good thing, that we don't have a ton of drug crimes on the books for the area.
Yes.
So that's a positive thing from my mind. I have another question about the RCMP patrols on the Britton Road. We had a number of community complaints about speeding in particular during school bus pickup times. Can you give us an update on that?
So I don't really necessarily have an update. That was something I had sent out to my team to request that we make some patrols in the morning. Again, we can't be everywhere all the time. So if the expectation is that we're going to be at the school doing school patrols, well, if Constable Peltier and I are the only ones working days, you know, we can't, you know, one of us can go do Britain and one of us could do the school patrols. So when we have enough members that we're able to focus on that, I think that will probably be the priority for this week and maybe the next week and the week after, is to get out there in the morning when it's still kind of dark. And I know there was some questions about whether the lights are where they should be with the bus stop. So that will be something we'll definitely step our patrols up and ensure that the kids are safe, because I know the snowbanks on that road there's not a whole lot of room, so.
And that leads into my next question, about the complement of members and where we are with that currently.
I'm still here.
That's good. And we're happy to see you.
So the complement here is supposed to be 8. So we have 1 sergeant, 1 corporal, and 6 constables. So we had 1 constable that left. Constable McIntosh is gone. She's gone to a different unit, so she has transferred out. We are getting a replacement for her likely in April, so we are anticipated to get a cadet from Depot. So with that, there's going to be a little bit of time before that member is going to be able to be on their own, because there's a process in place for training. And then that will bring us back up to having our 6 constables. We are, because I'm here, we know that Sergeant Sampson is not, so he has taken a lateral transfer to Hampton officially, so he is gone. And they've posted the promotion for that position. I might be a candidate.
Well, good luck there.
Thank you.
And can you give us an update on the activities that the new, I guess not new anymore, new-ish community program officer is planning in the area for 2024? Any highlights you can give us?
Not that I'm aware of right now. Megan Wells, actually she was supposed to come to a meeting and sort of talk about her mandate and sort of what she's responsible for. I know I did touch on it a little bit when I was here the last time. So she really focuses on the diversion and alternative measures. That's like her big portfolio that she focuses on. So anytime we deal with something and we feel like maybe it should be diverted or alternative measures, she's the one that sort of takes the lead on that and ensures that they follow through on the program. So she's quite heavily involved in that. She does cover Sussex, Hampton, and Grand Bay-Westfield, so she does have a big area that she covers. She's very involved with the schools as well. So when we did a lockdown for Grand Bay Primary in November, and she spoke with some of the other schools as well to say, you know, that's what she's there for, to help with that. And if there's anything in particular the schools are looking for as far as presentations, like, you know, bullying, you know, internet safety, all of those things, she would be available to come into the schools and present that in conjunction with me or somebody else.
Thank you. Any more questions for Acting Sergeant Rogers Marsh?
I would just like to, thank you, Worship. I would just like to circle back to the Britton Road.
Yes.
Just to offer a little bit of feedback. The bus stops are busiest around 7:30.
Okay.
Right in front of my house is the youngest group of kids. There's probably 12 at least kids that get on that stop, and you're right, the snowbanks are high and the traffic is very fast. So I know the speed limit's not posted at 50, but I've heard several complaints about parents worried about the kids and the snowbanks and that. So I would say, if you had to pick a time that would be probably the most efficient, would be between 7:30 and 8. That's when a lot of the buses go by.
Okay. No, that's good information for us to know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then I just wanted to introduce Constable Jerome Peltier. He's been with us for a year, graduated from DECO in January of last year, so he's fairly new, but he's doing a really great job. So
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I got one question.
Yes, Councilor?
But Britton Road question, can you lower the speed? Does that be help? But 50 kilometers an hour is quite a flip still, and if there's no rules by the signs that, would you have to change the signs to lower the speed limit?
Dale?
Just respond that I don't know how effective that would be. Really, it's a design issue with the road. If we want to put traffic calming measures in place, we'd have to review that. But Councillor, at the end of the day, that road is managed by DTI. That request would have to go to DTI and see what they say, but I'm not convinced that just lowering the speed limit would make any difference there.
So if they're doing 50 and if the speed limiter goes to sit there and catch them at 50, you can't give them a ticket at 50, can you? So that's back to my point that you have to reduce the speed to catch them. So 50 is a equivalent on the street with kids on the side of the road. So what's the solution? How do you need a solution for that? Or you talk about, we have to do a solution for it, so lower the speed or put a speed bump or?
Well, they're not doing 50 though, they're doing 70.
Well,
Easily
that's like the job of the RCMP officers, and we'll find out if we're up there checking it out, and we'll know, right?
I will definitely keep statistics on when we're patrolling and our proactive work, and I can certainly keep you guys up to date on that. The other option would be, I know that we had the electronic sign, so that maybe we do that in conjunction with us doing some proactive enforcement. Just so that people understand, oh, it's 50 and I'm going 70 or 75 or.
We can do that and hopefully no child gets hurt.
That's right.
That would be a good thing.
And it may even be helpful just to the visual of the cars, of the police cars there. On occasion, then people would, that word would spread, really quickly that they see the RCMP up there and that they're kind of paying attention, so you should better slow down.
Or we do a check stop and everybody won't be late for work.
Yeah.
Right?
That's great. Thank you, Sergeant, we appreciate it. Constable, thank you for coming and joining us this evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the information as presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Bell. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 8, minutes of previous meeting. 8A, regular council minutes of January 8th, 2024. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of January 8th, 2024 as presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, and second by Councillor Bellmans. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. 8B, email poll, Crane Mountain EIA submission. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield ratify the email poll Crane Mountain EIA submission. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole, and a second by Councillor Burton. Perfect, thanks. And John, can you speak to the item, please?
Sorry, was looking at something else. Sorry.
The EIA submission.
Oh, that, sorry, yeah, this, went, sorry, I went on the wrong
Here,
one
do you
here.
want it to mine?
No, I've got it here. Yes, this was a report and it outlines a number of options that can be pursued so that we aren't increasing the height of the facility. The other thing too, that as we go forward and they decide to permit it to go higher, there are other mitigating steps that we might be able to take, such as, you know, when you look, I found it disingenuous that all the pictures had green grass growing on the side of this hill. It's not very common that they cover the topsoil and plant seed. So maybe that's something that we press. Your Worship, I really need to do more research on this. This is not my field of expertise, but there's some options that they can do and concerns that we have. And I think, you know, St. John recently celebrated yet again the success of the diversion tactics. That would be more challenging for us given that we can't control that. But, you know, of course, Pam, Rosse, Hampton, Fundy St. Martin's, Fundy Rural District, participate in something like that, that could be quite a significant difference.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments on the motion? Just Deputy Mayor Toole?
One comment, I really like these suggestions, but I wanted to echo what you mentioned. I was so happy to hear that so many people went to the information session. I think I was worried that we weren't getting out there, but I'm really happy that everybody went and were heard because I think it's a huge issue. So thank you for putting this together.
Any other questions for John?
I was just going to make one more comment. We expanded our landfill when I was at Saskatchewan, and we also put restrictions in it. And we ended up having quite the battle with illegal dumping, which is something that we're already experiencing out in the Ward 2 area. So we have to be very mindful of that. As much diversion tactics as we want to implement, we want to make sure that it goes someplace beside a creek, beside a river, in the marsh, or in somebody else's backyard. But that was an experience that we had, and it was really tough to crack down on.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thanks. And I want to thank council for being so timely with their responses to the email poll, considering that there was a time frame on it, so thank you for that. Item 9, unfinished business. There being none, we'll move on to item 10, bylaws. Item A, bylaw GG 008, respecting animal control amendment. And John, can you speak to this item, please?
Just basically we're cleaning stuff up. There wasn't a whole lot in here, but turn it over.
There was some minor text changes put in, but there was a discrepancy between the dog take licensing and Schedule B. So Schedule B is basically what's being reformatted here, and the mention of a category of dogs over 10 years old has been moved.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Then the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the first and second reading by title of the animal control bylaw. First reading by title, bylaw GG-008, respecting animal control. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Bellmans. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Second reading by title, bylaw GG-008, respecting animal control. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee, and that was a second by Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, council. Item 11, new business recommendations. 11A, town office hours. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve changing the hours that the town office is open from 9 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Monday to Friday to 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, excluding statutory holidays. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, and a second by Councillor Burpee. Thank you. John, can you speak to the motion, please?
Yeah, before I turn it over to our CFO, we've had employees coming in for 8:30, and just because they were dropping kids off or grandkids off, and then it's easier to come here. But also, just observation that this year I think we've counted that it's around 5 people that have come in between 4:30 and 5, whereas it's not uncommon for people to come in earlier. But I'll turn it over to the CFO for details.
Thank you, John. Yes, Your Worship. So we're recommending to change the office hours to 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. One of the challenges we've encountered is community groups that have an activity going on in the centrum here, wanting access before 9 a.m. It means someone either has to wait at the front door or other arrangements have to be made to let people into the building. So by shifting it back just that half hour, it makes it much more manageable. And typically don't stay late in the day. Anyway, staff with childcare arrangements, it gives them a little bit more flexibility. And with the increase in online payment options that we've offered in the last year or so, we've seen a drop in the number of people that are coming in to pay, for example, their sewer bills. A lot of people are just doing it online. Another later in the agenda is online booking system. People come in to deal with that. So there's going to be fewer people coming in to talk about bookings. So we think this would be a good change for staff and very little impact for residents.
Thank you, James. Have any questions or comments for staff?
I was just going to add, Your Worship, we're looking at a couple of weeks of promoting the change, and the date will be effective March 4th.
March 4th. Any questions or comments? I'm just, anything that we can do to facilitate our, our staff with childcare, to be able to access that childcare more easily, I think is a good thing, so. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. 11B, high school graduation banners. I'm gonna get you to speak to this, John, before I read the motion.
Yeah, and then we had a very good discussion with the leadership team around this issue as well. Basically, it's just the group is asking to expand those students whose banner can hang up there, and that was in the letter that was sent. The issue that we ended up identifying today was around how long are the banners up there. We received enough complaints that last year about the length of time that, should we look at putting a time restriction on when those, or how long those banners stay up. And just to remind council, Councillors Bellmans and Day were on council. For one summer, there were Canada Day banners hanging up, the Canadian Brunswick flag. They've only been up one summer to the best of my knowledge. And those, when I moved here, it looked magnificent going down the road. So what we're suggesting for council's consideration is amending the resolution and just stating that they can stay up between what date they decide that they want to put them up, but then they come down on or before June 30th so that these other flags can be installed. Gary, were you or Rick able to get a copy of that? Or Rick was working on that, wasn't he? He was talking with Corey and whatnot, but it's a long time to have high school banner flags up until Remembrance Day. Really, and these are things, trophies signifying a significant mark in someone's life, that I assume that families will keep for years. The longer they're out in the elements, the weaker they become due to sun erosion, wind, rain, those types of things. So we're just asking council to consider establishing a time limit, and then depending on what our recreation coordinator finds for costs, that we look into that the group pay for the price of half the cost of removing the flags, and then we can pick up the remainder to install the flags, and then the Legion can take up and down, or we end up partnering with them on the cost. But just want to put it out there for council's consideration. It wasn't something that we were thinking about last week, but it was something that was discussed in our leadership team meeting today. So sorry to complicate things.
Yeah, so I guess my first question is, what is the date of installation of the banners to begin with?
Offhand, I don't recall, but I think it was the end of May. I think typically we've put them up the end of May and they're taken down in Remembrance Day. They don't have a date, but I know they're starting to have grad ceremonies. I think it's after the long weekend in May that there's stuff that's started. I'm not sure, it's been my first rodeo for the high school graduation thing. So,
in 2023, they were installed on June 9th.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was.
yeah, I thought it was more in June. I mean, this is a decision of council, but I don't know if I feel comfortable making that decision on the time frame right now.
no, that's something that we can, we'd let them know next year is going to change. But this is something that, we did get a lot of feedback last year, and we have these wonderful banners that we used once.
Right, I agree. Can you quantify a lot of feedback?
No, because we don't have the means of tracking that, and this is based on people's answering the phone and saying, yeah, I got that complaint. But that's something that we can look at this year.
Councillor McIntosh, Lauren?
And was the feedback from the parents that wanted the signs down earlier, or just from the public?
My understanding is from the public.
Councillor Billman?
Like, I can't imagine somebody taking pictures down of kids that could be our nephews, could be our daughters, could be our grandparents. It's a weird thing. People want to take down banners that they're the loved one on the pole going by, and you celebrate they're going ahead in the world. It's an odd thing to hear reports to take them down. It's an odd thing to hear. So.
Any other questions or comments on that particular part?
I believe some of the feedback was not about like taking them down to your.
Or take them down.
It was the duration.
Yeah.
The duration until Remembrance Day.
So imagine you had a picture on your wall of your kids and you're graduating, we take them down and put them away too, or that's, I don't know.
But we can leave the bit about the time frame for another day when we have some more time too.
Yeah, and we can let them know that under consideration is reducing the amount of time that they're up, the cost share.
So with that, we don't actually need to amend the motion?
No, I just made that as an option.
Your Worship, just another comment. If the banners were available earlier than the 8th or 9th of June, like May the 15th or something like that, I wouldn't be averse to having them up for say 6 weeks. But it's really nice to have more Canada Day and the town flags and symbol and the provincial flags. I don't know how many banners there are, but it did look nice that year on the poles.
So I was told that we have more banners than we do graduation photos and Legion members.
Thank you. So I'll read out the motion as is, and then we can open it for further discussion.
We can just drop that part, but
Is council
probably
comfortable with that?
we can bring it back later. It's unfair this year to change the rules midway through, but maybe they can, or because it's February, maybe they can get them earlier, things like that. But we communicate with them and say, this is what we're thinking, this is what we've heard.
Yeah, because my concern is like June 9th to the end of June is very long.
No.
Yeah, but that's the councillor said, if they get it earlier.
Yeah, yes, but that might not be able to.
Yeah.
Okay. So the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield approve the installation of the 2024 high school graduation banners, including those graduates from River Valley Middle School And council encourages the organizing committee to apply for the annual community grant program in the spring. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee, and that was a second from Councillor Bellmans, I think. Any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. 11C, dog park lighting, and I'm gonna turn this over to you, John.
Well, yeah, I think maybe we should turn it over to Councillor Bellmans, who made the initial request. I did provide information in the report regarding how the lights would be affected or how they would affect the dog park. I think really this is not a street light issue, it's a dog park issue. And the costs aren't really that significant, but the policy regarding street lights, which is what we're going to be installing fundamentally, is covered off in the policy, and the policy says we're a majority are in agreement. So the suggestion then on my part was we could do a QR code potentially, we could do a petition, which is the historical method of doing things, but you know, the dog community, the dog owners community that uses the park should really be consulted.
I just got an update on the community page, so there's 34 people like it already, and there's 20 comments already how they want it. The light's already there, so it just shows that people want this at the dog park. It's just my observation when I drove by, I see cars pointed at the dog park running, and they can't see where the dogs are going, so it's just I saw a couple times that happened. I said, well, why don't we have lights there? We have lights at the training facility down the road, two of them blaring all day and night. Why can't we have one at the dog park so people who work late shift or they want to take the dog for our facility, they can go take the dog for a walk or whatever they need to do there, right? It's just not timely for people who work. So I thought just an idea, just to pass it on to you guys, because it was nobody coming to me, I just thought myself. All right, so if you want me to go to petition, I'll go to petition. You want me to do whatever it has to take to do. So I think it's just something the committee wants, and we'll just let her ride from the committee page for a few days and see how the people maybe think. Maybe we just go by the committee page if you have to. I don't know.
It's John, maybe something, like you said, a QR code at the actual dog park for the people that use it to provide input?
Yeah, I think it has to be something that's physically present at the site, not a Facebook page. Just as a reminder to the council, this is a change in the level of service. The park was designed to be dawn to dusk. Now we're extending it later, people use it later, that's obvious. But yeah, like we're willing to work with the groups and do a QR code or whatever it would take. Yeah, like if that's what's wanted, that's fine.
Or you know, plan B, or you want to you have some sort of lights shining off the main pole. That would help too. Anything better than nothing, and use it to two things, for a street light and for a dog park. I mean, have a big enough area. It could be for both, right? We don't know, right? So
but we have an internal policy that covers the process, correct, John?
Yes, that was attached.
So whatever is the cheapest for the town. I don't want to spend a lot of money on something, but it's our taxpayers' dollar we're spending here. So cheaper the better, and would get something out of it, right? So street light, and we get the dog park lit up a little bit, and people want to sit there with the cars running, the lights on at nighttime. That's all.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other questions or comments on Councillor Dawson?
Just a suggestion. I'm convinced that not all dog owners in our town are aware of the dog park. And we do have the addresses of all those people who have purchased a dog tag. Could an old-fashioned letter be sent? Because I don't think there's email address opportunities on the dog tags. Could a letter be sent to the dog owners advising of the dog park, but also asking their comments about the having lights up and having longer hours? To kill two birds in one stone, or one stone.
Yeah, that's another ad hoc project. I'd have to see where our capacity is on something like that. That could be a heavy lift. I don't know, but I think to the mayor's point, having a QR code on the fence that people can just put the camera on and go there is simpler, because those are the people who actually use it. Regarding the advertisement, I think we have a dog park thing on Facebook, that's being monitored by the gentleman who volunteers up there. And I know he's talked to us in the past about what people have been saying. But yeah, I think I have to ask the commons manager exactly what's out there for the dog park. I know that it is on the website.
It's on the website and it is a fairly frequent message on the digital side out front. 319 Highland Road, dusk until dawn.
Yeah, and on a go-forward basis, to Councillor Balcon's point, maybe every time someone purchases a license, we give them information on the dog park so that they are aware that it does exist.
Can Brock put it on the community page or on the town website? But
The town's official pages cannot be
Oh,
used to
sorry,
post on an external
okay,
page.
okay.
Do you need any more?
No, it was for, you wanted to hear what council was thinking, it was to receive and file.
Yes.
So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file this report. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burke. Do I have a second? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence? Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. 11D, website privacy policy. And I'll get John to speak to this.
Well, actually, I'm going to turn it over to the commons manager, who's been developing and shepherding it through.
Thank you. This is standard across municipalities across the country, and I worked with Cox and Palmer, the town's general counsel, to develop this policy, and it describes how the town collects, uses, discloses, and protects the personal information of our website users, the types of information we may collect from users when they visit our website, as well as practices for collecting, using, maintaining, protecting, and disclosing that information.
Thank you, Bob. Have any questions for the communications manager on the policy? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence?
I have a quick question. Under the heading accessing and correcting your personal information, what would be an example of when the town could refuse to provide someone access to their personal information?
There's two times. One is if there's correspondence between us and the lawyer regarding the individual, that's privileged information. If the RCMP talk to us about an individual, that is considered confidential and not shareable. Those are the two times.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Then the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the website privacy policy for immediate effect. Do I have a motion?
So
Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Any further questions or comments? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 11E, alternate planning director. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield appoint Jamie Burke as the town's alternate planning director. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Do I have a second? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. And John, can you speak to the motion, please?
Yes, Your Worship, I think I'd let council know that this was coming. This is the person that we've engaged as our planning director is a sole proprietor. He's been retired a number of years and just want to ensure that if he's on holidays or he's, something happens to him, that the organization won't miss a beat. We want to ensure continuity, we want to ensure good customer service, and there's other things that we would like to do that we're not sure that our sole proprietor would have the capacity to do. So we're purchasing bench strength, really, Your Worship, and it's on an as-needed basis. So I don't know what it would cost potentially, but I think we allocated $50,000 for the year to get the work done. So.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you, and this is good forward thinking to make sure we're covered in the case of all eventualities. 11F, online facility booking system. So John, can you speak to the report, please?
I'm gonna turn this over to our recreation director. She and our recreation coordinator have been working on this for a while, and so I'll turn it over to Gary.
Mr. Worship, Rick Adams, the Recreation Program Coordinator, and myself have reviewed a number of different softwares, and we reviewed a number with software as well in partnership with River Valley Community Center. And Rec Times was the software that we chose, and we now have access to it. Myself and Rick have been trained on it, and the RBCC trained separately for capacity to it. We do have the ability now, we're kind of fooling around with it and getting used to it. We've done some quick introduction to our administration office staff, just to kind of bring them up to speed on some of the permissions they have on it. We're looking at trying to go public with it, I believe like mid-March, we'll work with the communications officer to make that available to the public. And so far so good. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a cost saving for us as well. In the partnership with the RBCC and getting reduced rate for us and for them. And it's going to hopefully make it more efficient, more effective for our operations, and a little more user friendly for the public.
Thank you, Gary. Can you explain a little bit about, for anybody that might be watching, the difference between today's experience and the experience that a resident might have when the booking system comes into effect?
Sure. The biggest thing that you'll notice is right now, when you go onto our website, you have to put in what's called a booking request. So if you're looking for time, you've got to put your request in so we can get your time limits that you're looking for, the dates you're looking for, and check to make sure whether we have a booking in there or it's not booked or if there's other things coming up. The big benefit of this program is the resident will be able to see whether it's available, because that's the number one question we get from people that phone in or administration people is, is it available before they even want to get into the information about whether they book it or not. So when it goes public, they'll be able to actually see what areas are available, what times, and allow them to make that decision as to whether they want to proceed with the booking. It'll also allow us to less administrative time because it's fairly timely to take the booking requests, create the actual invoice for it, send the approval, reference the number, put it in our accounting system. And with this system, a lot of that's going to be much easier and less steps. So it's administratively good, and for the resident, it'll give them more of an option to see what's available.
So streamlined on both ends.
Right.
John, did you have something?
No, it's, Gary touched on it a little bit. What he didn't mention was how much time he looks through different calendars manually to do all that. And now a person will be able to just go online, take a look at it. Gary may not even know that it's booked. And so there'll be no turnaround time really. If it's available, it'll be there.
Any questions, Councilor Balcom?
Just a question, would that system allow for an online payment for like
It won't initially when we first go public,
yes,
but it's going to give the resident an idea of what the cost is, and then we're going to create the invoice number, so our payment options now will still be the same. They'll still be able to e-transfer, they'll still be able to come into the office to pay by debit or credit, so the same payment options will be available.
that would be the same for like booking the River Center?
Correct.
Okay. Where a deposit is required?
No, there's no deposit in the River Center. Actually, all our facilities are all the same prices now. They're all the same rates, they're all the same approximate sizes. So the rates are actually going to stay as they are.
Fantastic, thank you.
John?
I'd just like to add to that, Councillor, that until we get a new accounting software system, it's tough to tie stuff into it. Our goal will eventually be able to automate that, but we have some restrictions around the software we currently use. I don't know, did you want to say something, Jay?
Right last year, we added e-transfer as an option, and I know that that's an option heavily utilized for recreation bookings now. We started with sewage payments and then we extended it, and I can see through the bank activity that a lot of people utilize electronic payments. Long term, having something tied into the booking software or our web page to make it even more seamless is ideal. We need to progress to the new accounting system.
Councilor McIntosh Lawrence, did you have a question? Councillor Bailman?
How much notice do they give for a cancellation? They do book the ice time or book the facility, how much notification do the town need so they can contact somebody else so they don't pay?
Yeah, so currently it's 7 days. So if they advise in 7 days, without a reason for weather or sickness or death or something like that, booking can cancel with no cost to the
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Gary, I know you've been talking about the town and what this is gonna do for us, but at the community center, are they gonna be able to book ice time with this program?
Yeah, so right now they're actually using it for their rooms that they have that they're renting, but they're gonna be going forward in the spring with their ice users as well. And
Excellent.
that's gonna be, again, visible to the public so that you'll be able to see what ice times are being used and they're fairly booked, but, again, the person or resident public group will be able to see that.
Oh, wonderful, thank you.
It's not on our system, they have their own system, but it's web-based, so it
Yeah.
would be very similar.
No, that's good news because previous councils have been asking for that for quite a long time.
There are no further questions. I'll ask for a motion that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file this report. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Jewell. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. 11G, seniors housing, and John, can you give that report, please?
This was actually a really nice meeting to be a part of, Your Worship. And I think that the two ladies who brought it forward may have been experiencing a little bit of whiplash. But anyways, at the end of the day, we'll be engaging with the Housing Hub in New Brunswick. And 75% of the cost and feasibility study will be done. Our share is 25% or $3,750. I just want to let council know that I will, when we get the invoice, I'll be paying it, authorizing that. But this is good news, and I've already shared all the work that we've done on seniors housing and housing in general with the Housing Hub people, so that we can hit the ground running.
Any questions from council?
I guess I just clarified that I wrote this report before the letter and the letter of engagement arrived here. Like it came at 2 o'clock on Friday. I had another meeting at B2, so that's why it's framed the way it is, Your Worship.
Thank you. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file this report. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Bellmans. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item number 12, bills for payment. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the February 12, 2024 bills for payment as presented in the amount for $414,862.24. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Do I have a second? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence.
I have three. Number 12, the $1,200 for taking down the bells. Is that something that we can bring in? I know I've asked this before. I sound like a broken record.
No, that's a good question. It is. In this case, the answer is counterintuitive, unfortunately. For the town to rent a lift truck and then dedicate 2 guys to do it is $129 per hour for the truck, and then 2 of our guys. The current one is $89 for the truck and 2 guys to do the work. Plus, it's also a weather contingent, I should say. If we have a snowstorm, it's tough for guys to operate the snow plows and the lift truck at the same time. Definitely that is something that we would look into, but we just don't have the staffing in case of a weather event and then the equipment.
Doesn't make sense, but okay.
Number 2.
25 and 26, $2,100 worth of stamps. I'm just wondering what we still send out other than sewerage.
So this includes sewage and Christmas cards. And stamps are $1.20 per stamp. So we have an account at Canada Post, and that's what we've spent.
So would this be for the year?
So I don't think that's for the year, but
There'll be more we'll need to buy throughout the year, but the majority of the spend has happened because the silver bills have gone out. So we mailed 1,500 silver bills, so it's a fair chunk of money. But it will, until we send the Christmas cards out later in the year, there'll be not as many sent out.
And one more follow-up and then we'll move on.
One more. 75, 76, 100, 101. It's about $47,000 for salt. Is this for the whole year or might we need more?
I think our CFO was hoping that would be for the whole year. That's for about half the season. So that will get us through to the end of this season. Depends on the weather, and there should be enough for next year. I'm pleased to say that the Works Commissioner has identified the need for a brine tank. So that'll be part of the capital discussion. It'll be included in May, and then we'll bring that to council. So the idea is that we can take a brine tank, place it in the back of a dump truck that's not currently being used, and then that can apply a solution on the asphalt before a weather event comes. So we're looking at one, increasing safety, increasing efficiency for everybody, and then we're utilizing the truck that's not being utilized. And right now, the lead time for a brine tank is 18 to 24 months. Yeah, 18 to 24 months.
Wow, really?
Yeah, really. Sorry.
One of the things that also happened last year with the transition of the contract from AVL to us for snow removal was the stockpile of salt was heavily reduced. We had to reconcile that with the contractor when the contract ended. So there was a concerted effort to reduce the salt pile down to as little as possible. So what you see, the spend is replenishing of it as we get into the winter.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 13, consent agenda. 13A, meeting minutes, age-friendly committee, November 2nd, 2023. B, meeting minutes, age-friendly committee, December 4th, 2023. C, meeting minutes, community vitality, November 15th, 2023. D, meeting minutes, PAC, December 4th, 2023. E, memo, PAC, election of officers, 2024. F, building report, December 2023. G, building report, January 2024. H, fire rescue department annual report 2023. I, email Lorraine Gibson, read flex service. J, flex service description, and consent agenda. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the consent agenda items for February 12th, 2024. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to item 14, council reports. We'll start with Councillor McIntosh Lawrence.
Thank you. So it's been a kind of a slow month. On January 14th, I organized a Sea Dog skate with the public at River Valley Community Center. That went over really well. There was about 100 kids out. They had a great time. They did an autograph session at the end. January 16th, we had our monthly River Valley Community Center meeting. Out of that, the snowshoe program is up and running at the golf course, and that's being run by Cask and Kettle. So that's a great program. If there's snow, get out and rent some snowshoes. Also, the East Coast Games will be coming again this year to Grand Bay-Westfield the end of June. They'll be playing lacrosse here, so that's a great thing to have in our community. And just a reminder, Chase the Ace happens every Thursday, so you can get your tickets, numerous local businesses. So you can go on their River Valley Community Center webpage and find out where to where we'd like to support. February 5th was our monthly Community Vitality Committee meeting, and we basically discussed Family Day, and the mayor has already mentioned what we'll be doing. Music by Four Amigos, we're having marshmallows again, fire pits, and snowshoeing if there's snow, and Cask and Kettle will be open for food. So I look forward to seeing everyone there. And lastly, I would just like to give a shout out to a resident. I was on my walk yesterday and I saw Rick Wasson clearing the storm drains near his house. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him and say we appreciate that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Belvin.
We're gonna skip me out that. Well, in last January, I had a council pro-kids meeting and a very productive meeting, so, but we're still looking for skates and whip for kids and it all donate to the pro-kids. And so another thing, I attended the meeting at the landfill at the church, and what a great turnout, so a lot of unhappy people every time, so it says a lot right there. And I'm looking forward to February 19th, the Family Day, so see what happens there. That's good. Keep her warm. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Day.
Well, I've been away for the first time ever in the month of January. And it was 80 degrees. It was rather nice. And I'm glad there's very little snow. So.
Thank you. Councillor Burpee.
Thank you, Your Worship. January 18, I also attended the meeting at St. Matthew's Church regarding the expansion at the landfill. I was pleased to see so many people with very strong voices and great questions. It was, it's an important issue, so I was really happy that we had so much support there surrounding that expansion. Also been busy getting ready for Winterfest. I've got some extra games planned, and as you've already mentioned, you know, it's a big weekend coming up with Family Day, and then the next weekend as the grand opening of the Four Corners Rink and Winterfest on the same day. So we're pretty excited about that, and that's it for me.
And Councillor Burpee, I have to thank you for reading out my statement. I was unable to attend a rescheduled meeting, and I really appreciate you reading out my statement on my behalf when I couldn't be there in person, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I also attended the meeting regarding the landfill extension, and Councillor Burpee did an excellent job of reading your statement. And I was very pleased to also, I want to echo previous councillor's remarks. It was a fantastic turnout. I thought it was very well organized. I think the organizers learned a lot about the process for future such meetings. And I have also attended 2 board meetings for TD Harbour Station since the last council session, and last Monday 1 PAC meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Toole.
One really fun thing that I just want to highlight, it's a fun one to end the council reports on. I was invited by the first Ketipek scouting group a couple weeks ago to come to their scouting meeting to help them work towards their community badge. So they prepared a list of questions about my time as a councillor and about the town, and it was so much fun. It was just amazing. So the kids were great. Kudos to the leaders. They had them all organized, you know, listening quickly, and had the questions, and anyway, the kids were great, and the experience was really, really good. And I just love that those groups, like the volunteer groups, are out there and the kids are learning. They really, really were engaged about the community, and I think I got the most questions about my pets, but mainly it was really, really well done. And I think you had the pleasure of doing that last year, and so if anybody's asked to do it in the future, I highly recommend it because it was a highlight.
I'm glad it was a good experience for you, and I know it was a good experience for them too.
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. So thank you for doing that. So thank you. I will go on to my council reports. We referenced it earlier in the meeting, but I've had some meetings with a local group regarding a seniors affordable living project, and we're going to do everything we can to facilitate that moving forward, so that's exciting. I had an opportunity to meet with the Prime Minister and promote the work the town is doing to increase development and alleviate the housing crisis, and talk about the priorities of the town of Bay-Westfield. So it's always good
to have the town platformed in a national way like that, so that was good. I attended the Fundy Regional Service Commission monthly board meeting where I spoke yet again about our position on the landfill expansion project, which I think everybody is now very conversant with. I represented the town at the Spark Mentoring event for Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and that's a very worthy organization doing a lot of very important work, so I was happy to be there and represent the town. I'm the chair of the Fundy Regional Service Commission Regional Transportation Committee, and we've had a couple of meetings. The committee is working on conducting a survey to identify underserved populations and communities, including people with disabilities within the region, collecting data on their transportation needs, challenges, and preferences, and based on those findings, develop actionable recommendations for targeted transportation initiatives to address their specific needs and improve the system as it is. So hopefully this survey will be live in March. I attended the State of the Province event in Fredericton, which is always an excellent opportunity to get in front of our provincial decision makers and talk about the priorities of the town and municipalities as a whole. With President Andrew Black and Executive Director Dan Murphy of UMNB, I presented to the PC caucus on top municipal priorities, including but not limited to municipal fiscal reform, public safety, and housing. I participated in the ESIC, which is Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation, Community Inclusion via Sports, Recreation, and Leisure meeting. This is a project that's been ongoing for the last year and a half, talking about how to promote inclusion and community participation through sports and leisure. So that was an interesting hour. I participated in an affordability and housing webinar, and I was invited to attend an all-day meeting with Housing New Brunswick, Minister Green and Minister Savoy on the progress made on the Housing for All plan, as well as how both orders of government can work together to get more roofs over more heads. I represented the town at the Bobby's Hospice event this past weekend, and hospice is such an important program, and they have to fundraise most of their budget. We all know someone who's been impacted by their services, and I'm grateful for the work they do to give people a loving and dignified death in comfortable surroundings with their families and their friends. And just on Sunday, I was asked to bring greetings from the town at the Greater St. John Chinese Cultural Association's Chinese New Year Gala, which is always an incredible event to celebrate the advent of the Year of the Dragon. And as usual, it was just an incredible display of talent and culture from the Chinese Cultural Association. So it was very, very, very great to be part of that event. And that's just a snapshot of some of the stuff that I've been up to. So item 15 is business arising from committee of the whole. There being none, we'll move on to item 16, adjournment. And the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 8:08 p.m. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, council.